Welcome to the city of Liverpool and home of Liverpool's noisy neighbours, Everton. Now, they've not won a trophy since 1995 and they have just sacked Frank Lampard. Could it get any worse for Everton? Or can we turn it round? Let's find out. Now, Everton are a team that have long been in the Premier League. However, they have very rarely achieved success. The last time they were in Europe was in 2005, 2006, the year after Liverpool won the Champions League, and they went out in the qualifying rounds. So it's fair to say Everton fans have been starved of success. However, we're going to aim to bring that back. Now, what I'm doing with my rebuilds is giving myself 5 seasons to turn it round. So let's have a look at what Everton are expecting to do at the start of the season. In terms of the board, they just want a mid-table Premier League finish. Well, I think we can do better than that, competitive in the FA Cup, and they're not bothered about the EFL Cup. They want us to play possession football, sign players under 22, and develop players using the youth system. And do not sign anybody over the age of 30. I mean, realistically, that's not going to happen in a rebuild. So we're going to ignore some of these. Now, if we look at the transfer history of Everton, they spent big in the summer before this season. £74 million outlaid on transfers. 20 million on Dwight McNeil from relegated Burnley. They spent 9 million on James Garner and went really big on Amanda Anoa from Lille. They also brought in Neil Mopay from Brighton for 12 million, but outgoing they only recouped 50 million, all of which came from Richarlison going to Spurs. So it's fair to say that in terms of transfers, it has severely weakened the team, and we've only got £2 million to spend. That's not good. Realistically, what we're going to have to do here is sell some players to recoup what we need to spend, because we are going to have to spend something to get the best out of this team. Now, the contracts, when we look at them, there are some players who are expiring in the next 12 months. Jakovic expires on New Year's Eve, but he is a backup. He's 35. He's not really going to be playing all that much. He's backup goalie, 37 years old. He's there just for a payday. So he'll not even going to bother. They've got Andy Lonergan, who again, ridiculously old, 38, backup goalkeeper. Asma Bekovic, 35. You look at the money Everton are playing to players, it's ridiculous. Andros Townsend, how old's he now? 30. I thought he was older than that, actually. He's on 45,000 a week. So there are players who are going to be looking to be sold this year. We need to sell to be able to spend, because realistically this team probably won't be good enough to push for Europe, which is what I want to do in season 1. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to list some players for transfers, we'll get them sold, and then we'll come back and see how much money we have to invest in the squad before the new season starts. Right then, so we have just finished all of our transfer dealings, and we are now at a point where we're ready to start the season. In fact, we're on the eve of our first game against Nottingham Forest, so let's see who left, who came in. Well, for us, we brought João Pedro in from Watford. Now, I didn't sign him. As you saw before, we had £2 million to spend. Luckily, our owners have got deep pockets. So we went to the owners and said, look, can you sign this player for us? And they said yes, which, considering all the hatred that Everton owners get, is surprising. In terms of players that left, Tom Davis left for £10 million. Now, we were actually offered 1.6 million for him by Wolves at one point. His value was 20 million. So yes, we took a massive hit on him, but it was 10 million pounds back in the club coffers that we needed. Salman Rondon also left for 1.7. So not massive turnovers for our first season, but still not a bad turnaround. So we have got our first game against Nottingham Forest in just a couple of days. We actually start with Nottingham Forest and Newcastle. So 2 winnable games, then Man City, which is going to be the difficult one. Let's see where we finish in the first season, though. Then we'll look to see who leaves and who comes in. Hopefully, in the next season, the owners will give us a nice big transfer budget, which we can go and get some really decent players and build this Everton team, because I am confident we can get them challenging Champions League places within 2 seasons. But let's find out how we get on. All right, so our first season in the bag, and I said at the start of it that my goal was to qualify for Europe. Well, that's what we did. We finished 6th, 62 points, just pipping Newcastle there on the final day of the season. We were miles behind Liverpool, who won the league. They always seem to win the league in the first season on this year's Football Manager. But we're not a million miles behind Man United and Man City in third and fourth, respectively. So it's close. We can pull this back. That is a really good season. If we look at the squad, Calvert-Lewin scored 37 goals in 31 appearances this season, 29 goals in 27 league games. I mean, that's brilliant. That's phenomenal. And this tactic really kind of played into him. Anthony Gordon chipped in with 10 goals and 12 assists as well, which is, again, really, really good. We could tighten up defensively. So now what we have to do is we have to look at the new season. Connor Cody was on loan. He was one of our main centre-backs, and he now goes back to Wolves. So do we look to sign him, or do we look for somebody else? In terms of financials for the next year, it hasn't been announced as of yet how much we're going to get. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the transfers for next year. We'll show you who leaves, who comes in, and then we'll see how we get on in our second season, see if we can improve on 6 and how European football impacts this squad. All right, then. So let's have a look at our business in and out this transfer window. So loads of players left on loan, but the key ones that we're looking at is Dominic Calvert-Lewin went to Manchester City for 66 million. Now it will go up to 84. We had to then go out and sign a new striker. So we went to Brentford and we signed Ivan Toney for 58 million. We signed Leia Bada from Celtic for 26 million. Danilo from Palmeiras for 17, and Renato Sanchez for 17.75. We also brought in Ismail Assar for 26, Tanganga from Spurs for 12, Tunazebi from Manchester United for 1.7 million, and David and Sanchez for 14.5 million. Now, the reason we were able to fund them at the back end of last season is because João Pedro, who we'd brought in the summer, left because Man United signed him for 50 million. So he had because I didn't do the transfer deal for that and the board did it, they put a 50 million transfer fee in on his contract, which meant as soon as that was done, I was left helpless, and unfortunately we had to go out and replace him. But we did. We got Ismail Assar at quite a cut down price, really, for a player that got, especially as Real Madrid are interested in him at the time. So transfer-wise, I am quite happy. In terms of our schedule, we've got Blackburn, Fulham up first, and then we play Man City, third game of the season again, just like last year. So that'll be interesting. Pre-season, we went to China, which really wasn't a challenge, let's be honest. But our big thing this year is going to be squad rotation. Now, we have kept the likes of Dele Alli in the squad because he is a good player to have around. He's actually quite highly rated on this game. It's almost like Sports Interactive haven't watched him for the last couple of years, but I'm going to take advantage of that. And then what we have done is we are looking at trying to build a real good squad. We didn't register 25 players last year. We have this season, so that means we should have a team capable of pushing on. Now, what we want to do is we're in Europa Conference League this year. We want to get at least Europa League next year. Let's see how we get on. And fingers crossed, we're going to build on last season and continue to push towards that top 4 place that we're so desperate to achieve. All right, then. So the second season is in the book, and unfortunately, we didn't quite perform as well as we did the season before in the league. We finished 7th. In fact, we missed out on the last day. Tottenham pipping us by a point, but we still qualified for the Europa League because we actually won the Europa Conference League. So in terms of the overall season performance, we did really well. I'm pretty sure, let's have a look, that is, they won the Cup Winners' Cup in 85, but that is, apart from the Cup Winners' Cup, which is like the European Charity Shield, isn't it? That is Everton's first European trophy, and it's their first trophy since 1995. That's a massive achievement. So the rebuild is well on track. What we do need to look at is our defence, because if we look at the league table, we scored loads of goals. Ivan Toney got 30 goals. In fact, Ivan Toney over the course of the season actually scored 56 goals, which is incredible. What we do need to do is improve our defence, because again, we conceded 61 goals. I mean, 61 goals. So we do leak goals quite considerably. So we need to look at how to fix that. That is what I'm going to look at over the off-season. My focus is going to be on the defence. There were talks of a takeover with the board, but that seems to have gone away. But who knows what's going to happen next. So next up is the summer. We're going to rebuild this. Well, hopefully we won't lose any players this summer. And then we're going to look to add more depth to the squad and improve our defenders. I think a couple will leave. We have got a offer in on a goalkeeper on a free transfer, Alban Lafont from Nantes. He is better than Jordan Pickford, so hopefully that'll make a difference as well. Jordan Pickford is just having a shocker. And I'm hoping when the budgets get announced that we're going to see an improvement on 784 quid. It's looking like 25 million, which isn't going to get me very far without sales. So there could be some chopping and changing, but let's see how we get on, and I will give you an update just ahead of the third season. All right, then, so we're just about to get started on our third season. Now, we have gone big. Lafont joined on the free. Sotelo we got for Bayern Munich for 30 million. We only actually sold 20 million pounds worth of players, and all of that came from the Ben Godfrey sale to Fulham. Last season, we went massive because we signed players at the end of the season as well. 184 million pounds we spent in total last season. We got Nathan in from Santos, which could rise to 30 million. We got Sivert Mansverk from Molde, 7 million. And we got Nahan Perez from Juventus for 35 million. So our team, we have massively strengthened that defence. Patterson is there at the moment. And the reason for that is because, as always happens, Nathan is on international duty with Brazil under 23s, which I'm hopefully, I think it's the Olympics. It is. He's in the semi-finals. Hopefully they'll get knocked out soon and he'll be back. But in terms of our schedule, we yet again play Man City in the first 3 games, which I find amazing how this is the third season and that's happened every year. It's almost like it's a fix. But we now face them on opening day. They're favourites for the league. The board are still looking for us to get a top half finish and just reach the latter stages of the Europa League. So it's about pushing on to get the Europa League spot through the league this year rather than get it through a cup competition. But if we win the Europa League, we go Champions League football next season. So, there are different ways at looking at it. In terms of where the bookies have us, they have got us finishing around about 8th. Based on the last couple of seasons, we finished 6th and 7th, respectively. That's a fair one. The fact Man United predicted 7th is quite surprising with Newcastle above them, but I'm pretty confident with this new defence, we should be able to stop leaking goals. And hopefully, we'll be able to push up to sort of 5th. If we can get 5th or 4th even, that would be fantastic. Going into the 4th season, it would give us 2 seasons left with Champions League money to really, really invest in this squad. So, let's see how we got on in Season 3. Right, Season 3 is at an end. And honestly, in terms of domestic form, it was a disaster. We finished 10th. We just couldn't get any form going. We lost 13 games. We actually lost our first 4 games of the season. But when we lost, we lost 4 there. We had that run there. We didn't bounce back from defeats. However, we did qualify for the Champions League because we won the Europa League. And what was quite nice about that is that we played Spurs in the final and beat them 4-0 with 4 goals from Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney's got 24 goals in the Europa League and 26 goals in the league. I mean, that is just fantastic. But we didn't solve our defensive issues. So the signings we made in the summer didn't work. We still conceded over 60 goals across both competitions. There's some food for thought over the summer for what we're going to do looking ahead to Season 4. We've been given 60 million to spend. There will be players leaving, so we'll be able to reinvest some of that. It's where we go next. So we'll have a look at the next thing we're going to bring you is we're going to have a look at what we brought in for Season 4. Obviously, Champions League is where we want it to be. We are now in the Champions League. The rebuild, despite our league form, has been successful. We've won 2 trophies. We've won 2 European trophies. So in 3 seasons, we've done more than Everton have done in nearly 30 years. But we've got 2 seasons left, and I want to get top 4. If I don't get top 4, I'll be gutted. But still, Season 4, Champions League football awaits. Let's see what comes next. All right, then. Season 4 is in the bag. And honestly, I don't think I can take this team any further. So see, this rebuild finishes at season 4. And here's why. We won the Champions League. So in the last 3 seasons, we've won 3 European trophies. We have won the Conference League, the Europa League, and the Champions League. Now, apart from the Conference League, we have needed to win the competitions to get into the next season's competition. And this season in the league, we finished 15th. So I don't think I can take this team any further. I think I've probably taken them as far as I can. It's been a pretty successful rebuild. Bear in mind that they hadn't won any trophies for nearly 30 years, and we've won 3 in 4 seasons, including the Champions League, which is just amazing. So, Frank Lampard, I did it better than you. I hope you've enjoyed the rebuild. I hope you've enjoyed seeing where we've taken this Everton team and what we've done to improve them, the players we've brought in and things like that. The next one we're going to do is Aston Villa. Aston Villa is our next rebuild, and that is a real challenge because they are in just as bad a position squad-wise as Everton, so it'll be interesting. If you have enjoyed this, please hit subscribe, hit that like button, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future content. And I will see you all in the very next video. See you all soon.